According to a recent report, 84% of companies believe that digital transformation is crucial for business performance. But only 3% of companies have actually finished any company-wide digital transformation initiative. Big numbers and very small numbers. So next up, I'm talking with somebody from an organization that's coming up to the end of a 5-year transformation program. Let's find out how it's been going. Here to discuss how the Metropolitan Police Service is connecting its people and accelerating its digital transformation to become one of the most trusted forces in the world, I'm delighted to be joined by Digital Service Delivery Director, Alex Blatchford. Alex, thank you very much for joining us today.
Hi, David. Great to be here.
Super. We'll chat to you in just a moment, but first I want to set up another poll for our viewers at home. So poll coming up on the screen just over there right now is this: has the current situation with COVID-19 given you more time to think about and plan your digital transformation strategy? 3 options for you. Take a look at those and we'll come back to your responses shortly. Alex, again, thanks for joining us today. Tell us a bit about the Met Police and about your role there.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me along. So I'm the Digital Service Delivery Director at the Met. So my responsibilities are for maintaining all of the operational systems that run policing every day, and also for investing in all of the enabling infrastructure that provides us with the platforms, both for that day-to-day and also for our transformations, both past and future as well. The Met is a huge organisation. It covers mainly London, but we have some specialist capabilities beyond as well. London, city of 8 million citizens that we serve each and every day. But clearly we swell with visitors and with commuters as well, and that provides us with some additional opportunities and challenges. It's made up of 32 boroughs, each with their own local structures and organisations. So it's quite an interesting partnership. Way of working for us as well. We've got at the moment about 32,000 officers. We're heading that way. We're recruiting rapidly, and that's provided us with a great opportunity for expansion, both technology-wise and also for our services. We have about 25% of the UK's policing budget. So one of the key aims that we have is to make sure that we can share some of our capabilities nationally as well. And as I mentioned, we have key specialisms that are perhaps unique in London. So if you think about ceremonial, perhaps some of the crime specialisms that we have as well, they're very particular to the scale and the profile of policing that we have in London. From an IT perspective, we've got properly mission critical services. So 999 and radios perhaps are the most obvious, and then command and control systems that sit with that as well. And everything from command and control through to investigations and digital contact are very much key to the way in which we operate. We've got about 55,000 users across the estate, which is pretty large, and about 75% of that is now mobile enabled, which over the last couple of years has necessitated some quite profound changes to our support models as well. And as I mentioned, we've certainly got our own Met business applications that support key processes, but we're very much part of the national picture in policing as well. We both provide capability and also consume capability from other forces also. I mean, the key mission for policing in the 21st century is very much about how does public safety evolve as perhaps the digital society comes on stream. And certainly trust and becoming the most trusted police force in the world is what this is all about.
I want to come back to that statement in just a moment about becoming that trusted police force in the world vision. But before that, your digital transformation journey and your operational transformation journey, you've been on that, as we said in the intro, for about 5 years or so. Tell us about that, but also tell us about how the recent COVID crisis has impacted on that and how the Met Police has been able to operate.
Yeah, so the transformation started back in about 2013. And it was really about trying to look at the way in which the Met was operating and look at both the business and the digital elements that were going to be able to make us fit for the future. And really many themes that were consistent with what Michael was just talking about as well. So one of the areas that we've been focusing around are those 32 boroughs that we have in London and consolidating our command structure around 12 what we call BCUs. And that's provided us with much greater ability to share resources and capabilities and skills. It's provided us with an opportunity also for some estates rationalisation. We've been investing in new properties and premises and shrinking the size of the estate as well. And we've got some great new buildings to help our people. We've invested substantially in mobility, both from business capability and also from a technology perspective as well. And as I said, now 75% of the organisation is working with mobile devices. We're investing heavily in re-engineering our business processes around investigations and command and control, so we can be far more responsive and effective to the citizens of London. We've gone through a process of improving armed capability. The nature of policing over this term has shifted, and our capability and our specialisms have shifted with that as well. The changing nature of the kind of resource mix that we need to have across the organisation for the future as well has been really paramount and important. And so we've introduced schemes around direct entry detectives and other direct entry routes also for members of the public to be able to join our ranks and to be able to contribute their skills towards our mission. And then in terms of being able to interact with the public, being able to go more online, being able to provide online crime reporting and also 101 related channels for people to be able to use have been sort of early parts of shifting some of the channels that we have. Now, sat behind that, we've deployed a bunch of IT capability as well. So we've put out about 21,000 body-worn videos for our officers who are on the streets every day, which has had some transformative effects in terms of our relationships with the public. We've got new radios, 36,000 mobile devices rolled out, Office 365 recently, some specialist capability. With frontline officers, they can now have fingerprints scanned and checked actually on the street. We've put in place a revised public-facing presence, which we're sharing with 20 forces at the moment as well. And behind all of that, we've gone through quite a major set of infrastructure transformation. We've consolidated data centres, rationalised applications. We've gone through a network transformation covering about 420 sites, 350 odd new circuits, 1,000 devices deployed, 2,000 miles of fibre, and many thousand wireless access points as well. So we've done a huge amount of investment. And really, you asked about COVID, and I think really from COVID, what that's done is to enable our response to COVID. And I think the reality is that we would not have been able to respond in the manner in which we have were it not for all of that investment to be available to us. And I think what that's really enabled us to do is to bring forward some mobile working that, whilst it was there perhaps for the front line, for our colleagues who are typically office based, we've really been in a position where we can work more remotely. We've probably gone through 2 years of mobile working adoption in just a couple of weeks, and I think, again, to Michael's point, that's really around the culture that we have in place. So some of that's about enabling the colleagues that we have, but it's also then about how we work with partners. And I mentioned partners before, and how we take a whole systems view. So we put in the last couple of months a lot of capability in place around virtual courts and being able to work between custody and court in virtual ways. And we've had to put in place quite a few network changes to enable that to be able to happen as well. And that's limited transportation, but allowed the criminal justice process to be able to continue as well. And then one of the areas that we really talk about in policing is our ability to convene. We have unique convening powers. We can bring people together. And we often do. And actually, one of the challenges through COVID is being able to do that, but to do that virtually. And so actually, I think we've driven up our ability to convene across multiple partners through this period. And we've done so because of the collaborative capabilities. And so I think we've built and forged new relationships across all of those BCUs with other partner agencies and as part of the command and control structure for COVID responses, simply because of the transformation capability that we've put in place.
In summary, you've been fairly busy over the last few years then. That sounds like a real, route to top of the tree transformation that you've been able to effect there. Just coming back to what I said I'd mention, this vision that you have to become the most trusted force in the world. I'm sure many people watching can relate to these visions that sometimes come from on high in organizations. And then are passed down to leaders within the organization to try and make them happen. So when you are given a make us the most trusted force in the world, Alex. How do you, as a leader, practically try to make that happen? How can you facilitate that vision?
So I think with trust, one of the key elements to really focusing on is actually why do we have that as part of our vision and mission, and why is that important for policing? So in the UK, policing is by consent. It's a model that dates back to 1829, and the Pelian principles are enshrined around the notion of policing only being able to exist with the consent of the public. And so trust is really right at the heart of everything that we do, and that's really the start point for how we then think about that in terms of digital transformation, digital leadership as well. I think I'll perhaps put it in two parts. So the first is to do with perhaps how the organisation works, and we talked a little bit in terms there of the capabilities we've deployed for our people. But it's actually really important that our people have the trust in their capabilities to be able to do their job. And we've dramatically improved that in the last couple of years. And as many organisations will know, if you've got a good and engaged workforce, you can deliver good and engaged and reliable services as well. So being able to deliver for the front line and for our colleagues across the Met, just good foundational collaborative technology is absolutely paramount. Then in terms of sort of broader digital transformation, perhaps into more data, we're getting here really to the nuts and bolts of what it is that citizens are really looking for. And we have to try to balance here between two sometimes competing paths. On one hand, particularly victims are looking for us to use all the technology that we can to be able to help to provide justice. And on the other, quite rightly so, citizens are also looking for us to use only the data that we ought and never to stretch too far. And so the path that we have to navigate is being able to balance both of those and being able to provide both the capability and also the confidence in the capabilities that we're using as well. And I mentioned earlier body-worn video and the fact we've deployed that to the front line. That's been a great capability in terms of improving trust, because for officers it means that there's a record of the professional services in which we are providing. Complaints against police have dropped dramatically, but also for those with whom we interact as well, it provides confidence that actually the interaction that we're having is going to be objectively understood as well. So being able to provide that technology and to do so in a way that is effective for us, but also confident and trustworthy for the citizens is paramount into the heart of policing. There's a bit more. So we've saved through the transformation some large amounts of money in the last couple of years, and that's provided us with the ability to be able to reinvest as well. And so from a transformation perspective, being able to achieve value for money for the taxpayer and for the citizens is absolutely paramount as well. I'd go back though in summary really to what Michael was also saying in terms of just keeping outcomes in mind, in terms of how policing needs to evolve. That's really where the start and the end of all of this is, being able to ensure that we can provide the capabilities that is going to keep society safe. That's where the focus is. It's not specifically about the technology.
Terrific stuff. I've been in the world of the end user devices, the body worn cameras, some of the end user terminals at some events and shows that I've been to recently. Some really fascinating network device innovation that you talk about there. And just very quickly, what role, we're talking about digital transformation here and the vision that you've been trying to achieve. What role has the network itself played in helping to achieve that?
I mean, there were elements of the network that just had to be modernised to enable us to maintain reliability. But really, what it's really enabled us so far to do is to have instantly connected devices anywhere, whether that's in the office or on the street. So our network transformation, I gave a few of the stats earlier in terms of the structured network, but we also have mobile SIMs in each of our mobile devices in the hand as well. And for us at the moment, just being able to provide that instant on connectivity anywhere has provided our officers with the ability to be able to work from anywhere. And we've seen that benefit immediately through COVID as well. What it gives us now in terms of further and future transformation through scalability, through resilience, is the ability to support then the rest of the broader transformation that will come hereafter.
Super. Very quickly, let's just talk about what's next. what kind of capabilities do you see the different technologies that we've spoken about, and maybe some new ones, being able to support for you in the future? What's next in that respect?
So I think here, again, I'm going to go back to first principles. So one of the other principles associated with policing is that the public are the police and the police are the public. And I think as we go forwards, we need to think about what that means in the digital age. So in prior times, we've perhaps talked about volunteers and special constables, certainly not about vigilantes, but there's been something there in terms of how does society and policing really come together. And so being able to do that in a digital world is really what comes next. And so we've started when we've always had telephone contact, for instance, but in terms of online presence, that's certainly evolving rapidly. But I think in terms of sort of a B2C like agenda, that'll be one of the aspects, and being able to support a much broader, more expansive integration with citizens as will be required, but then also with partnering with other organisations as well. Now, we need to be clear in terms of how data gets shared and exactly how that works, but being able to be in a position where ultimately society, with policing as a core part of it, being able to maintain societal safety will be a key aspect, I think, for the future, and particularly when it comes to the prevention of crime. Policing absolutely exists and performs a critical role in being able to keep society safe, but prevention is always better than cure. And us being able to take that sort of convening role and being able to work through the technology and the partnerships to be able to prevent crime will certainly help to achieve our mission also for the future.
A few moments ago, we were inviting our viewers to share their responses to our poll. Let's take a look at what came back. So we were asking about whether COVID-19 has given people more time to think about and plan their digital transformation strategy. 2/3 of people said yes, it's given them more time to think more broadly about how they adopt going forward. Only 2% of organisations saying they've been relatively unaffected, and 1/3 saying, no, we've been too busy coping with what's going on in the moment. So it's heartening, at least, that many people are, many organisations are taking the opportunity to think, reflect, and plan. Listen, for now, Alex, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Do stick around for the Q&A at the end. And if you have any questions for Alex on digital transformation, on some of the amazing transformation that has happened with the Met Police over the last few years, do pop them into the Q&A panel over there, and we'll get to them later on. Thank you very much for now, Alex. Let's meet our today's final guest.